Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's #2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Wednesday everybody. First up, we need to quickly touch on the outbreak situation. We have covered this over the last few days, but the situation is so increasingly concerning that we need to discuss it again briefly now. Guangzhou's situation is fast deteriorating. If the megacity wasn't so important, it likely would have already seen citywide lockdowns. On Tuesday, official data for the previous day showed new coronavirus cases surged in Guangzhou and other Chinese cities. Nationwide, new local infections climbed to over 7,400 on Monday, up from 5,496 the day before, and the highest level since the 1st of May. 1 in 3 of these new cases were in Guangzhou, an outbreak driven by the Omicron BA.5/2 strain. Local authorities said on Tuesday mass testing was required for 9 districts. 2 major districts, home to millions of residents, are now under full lockdown. After Shanghai, Guangzhou is the most important economic, manufacturing and logistics hub in the country. New Omicron strains are testing zero-COVID policy, especially in poorer regions. Some cities in the northwest have been locked down for 90 days, yet continue to see new infections. According to Nomura, as of Monday this week, China's COVID controls negatively affected 12.2% of national GDP, up from 9.5% a week ago, and more than 1/5 of China's population is now subject to some kind of control measure. Quote, "We continue to believe that while Beijing may fine-tune some of its COVID measures in coming weeks, those fine-tuning measures could be more than offset by local officials' tightening of the zero-COVID policy." End quote. Okay, next up, let's move through economic developments. And first of these economic developments, private property developers are getting more government support. According to the state-run Shanghai Securities Times Journal, private property developers are likely to be able to now raise up to 250 billion RMB, $34.5 billion US, in bonds after the National Association of Financial Market Institutional Investors announced it would offer more bond financing support to the sector. The hope is to ease the liquidity woes that have hit the industry, though this doesn't help with the demand side too much and it risks further undermining deleveraging efforts. The broader property crisis has shut most private developers out of the market for bond financing both domestically and offshore. The widening of the program, first launched in 2018, came after the deputy governor of the People's Bank of China, China's central bank, called for more support for bond sales by private developers last month in response to record defaults. Next up, US chip giant Nvidia appears to have found a workaround for the new US export controls for at least one of its chips. Nvidia tends to provide customers in mainland China with alternative products also based on Hopper architecture, which was not covered by the recent US export ban. According to US-based Wall Street Journal, the company is preparing for high levels of demand for the new chip, with the company set to start giving quotations in China as soon as today, Wednesday. Shipments are expected to start in the coming weeks, and potential buyers include US companies such as Dell Technologies Inc. for products they sell in China. The financial outlet writes that where the A100 can send 600 gigabytes of data per second, the A800 can send 400 gigabytes. The change is akin to reducing the lanes of a highway from 6 to 4, and would have the largest impact on the performance of supercomputers, which string thousands of graphics processing chips together. Simpler tasks that require only one or a few chips, such as AI inference, running an AI model after it has been trained, will not be too much affected. According to Chinese financial media outlet Caixin, Nvidia supplies A100 chips to China's cloud computing giants, including Alibaba Group Holdings Limited and Baidu Inc., as well as computing infrastructure builders like Inspur Group Co. Limited. Okay, next up, a few more economic developments. If you guys are enjoying today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, and for anyone who can go that extra mile and help me keep China Updates sustainable, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. I primarily rely on subscriber support to continue with the channel, so this is a tremendous help. As always, thank you so much everybody for the ongoing support. Next up, according to newly published estimates from the Institute of International Finance, foreign investors pulled $8.8 billion from Chinese financial markets last month. Outflows from China's equity market reached $7.6 billion, while $1.2 billion was removed from bond markets, much more than we saw in September. Elsewhere, emerging markets, excluding China, saw $9.3 billion of inflows into equities and $8.7 billion into debt. Quote, "The shift to outflows in 2022 is notable and reflects lots of discussions in the asset management community. This shift reflects geopolitical concerns and anxiety that the government's zero-COVID policy could weigh on China in the medium term." End quote. And finally, according to the Hurun, Hurun Rich List, published yesterday, the wealth of China's super rich has plunged this year. The Rich List ranks China's wealthiest people with a minimum net worth of 5 billion RMB, $690 million. According to the new report, as of the 15th of September, only 1,305 people made their threshold for the super rich this year, down 11% from last year. What's more, the total wealth of this group is down almost 20% from last year. The reasons cited by the report for the plunge in wealth are very familiar to us. War in Ukraine, zero-COVID policy, and falling stock prices. No surprises there. The biggest reason for the decline, the biggest in the past 24 years of the list, according to the chairman and chief researcher on the report, is the property crisis. Again, no surprises there. Chinese technology moguls who previously dominated the list's top 10 have seen heavy losses to their personal wealth too. The fortunes of the owners of Tencent, ByteDance and Alibaba have all contracted by about 1/3. Jack Ma went from China's richest man in 2020 to 9th this year. Although it could be much worse. China's former richest man, the founder and chairman of China Evergrande Group, fell by 102 spots on the list this year, down more than 90% from his peak in 2017. While few shed tears over the vicissitudes of billionaires' wealth and power, this kind of report does give us an idea of the general health and dynamism of China's private sector, which traditionally is a strong employer and innovator in the wider Chinese economy. We can also see trends. For example, the number of entrepreneurs who made their fortunes from real estate continues to decline, only 10% in the list this year versus over 50% in 2000. With that in mind, then, who is the richest man? That would be Zhong Shanshan, and for the second year in a row, Zhong saw his personal wealth grow 17% year on year to $65 billion, driven by his ownership of Nongfu Spring, a company which sells something that the market foresees as being increasingly important for China in the future: water. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much everybody for watching. I will see you all tomorrow.